Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined Dr. Disco, or is it Dr. Funkenstein, as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 253. I don't know about you guys, but I got question mark boxers on. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean, and I also have question mark boxers on.
And I'm Glenn, and I'm not wearing any underwear.
Oh!
TMI?
Mr. Commando. We opened that door. How are you guys?
At least I'm wearing pants.
That is good.
I'm not.
But you're wearing boxers.
Yeah, we saw your question marks on your
We're grateful of that aspect of it.
underwear.
Did you guys have a good week?
Yes.
What'd you do, Sean?
I had a staycation from one job and started another.
How's the new job?
It's good. It's very good. I watched some baseball. I worry when I get into these. I am the biggest superstitious wuss in the world. When I really get into a team that I follow and support, I've got my rituals, I've got my stuff, and I have to follow those. I mean, to the point where I can remember on several college basketball runs of KU going up to the thing that we'd be cheering for them and then suddenly realize we had jumped around and excited on the last play and then switched our order on the floor in front of the TV and had to reshuffle around when something bad would happen because we're not in the right spot. So, I'm that kind of geek. With the Royals this year going, and being as successful as they were, and I've been working all the time. I work at night. I'm constantly doing something where I don't get to sit down and watch a game. So then when I get the opportunity to sit down and watch a game, I kind of go, they've been doing all right without me. Do I really want to subject them to this? And I'll kind of peek in for a little bit, and then, the minute something bad happens, I have to turn away and, apologize to fandom, because it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to watch. But I've watched a little bit.
To your favor this time.
Yeah, watched a little bit here and there this week with being off, which was kind of nice, too. And I still have not sat down and watched, other than the one that we went to. Oh. I have not watched an entire baseball game on television this year. But I watched bits and pieces of them, so that was fun.
Did you get to see Katrina on Halloween?
We did.
What did she dress up as?
She was a Disney princess, and
any specific Disney princess?
Yes, she was very specific. She couldn't remember her name, so Mel's trying to guess. Are you Sleeping Beauty? No, and she'd roll her eyes. Are you?
Come on, Grandma.
You're not Belle from Beauty and the Beast. No. Well, who are you? But she couldn't remember, so she would point at her belt buckle, which had a picture of the princess on it. She was Snow White. Oh. And then during the trick-or-treating during the day, she got a free banana from Dillon's. and announced as she was running around the store going, pew, 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 and shooting people with her banana that she had gone bad. I said, that doesn't seem like a very princess thing to do. She goes, I'm a bad princess. Pew, pew.
Princess Leia had a gun. She was a princess.
All right. You can't fault the logic. So, what'd you do?
We had some trick-or-treaters come by. We didn't go trick-or-treating. Dressed up Cody as underdog. If you didn't see the picture.
Cute.
The cutest
I'm usually not one to dress up dogs, but Sarah got that. I was like, we're going to do this. And I put it on him. I was like, all right, yep. He's too cute not to. All right.
Yeah, he looked cute.
And Audie dressed up as... I can't remember which clone he was this year. He wasn't Commander Cody, which is like one of his favorites. Cody and Rex are his two favorite clones, but that wasn't who he was. How about you, Glenn?
Mixing it up a bit.
Yeah.
We got up Halloween morning, and as we were getting ready, we were going to go to the haunted house, but we wanted to go closer to lunchtime. My daughter's been doing what's called Project Halloween, and it's a haunted house for younger kids. So there's no jump scares in it. It's mostly performance, but they've done the haunted house in the aspect of kind of the classic monster theme. So you go from room to room, and there's an actor in each
that's
one.
Cool.
And Caitlin was Countess Dracula. But there's you go in and there's a werewolf, and then you go into another chamber and you're in Dracula's castle, and you've got Countess Dracula, and you move on, and then the Mad Doctor and Frankenstein. You move on, and then you're in Egypt, and you meet Cleopatra, and you move on, and as you progress, and it was really well done, really put together, really well. But we wanted to do that closer to noontime, so then we could go to lunch afterwards. And so I fired up The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, because we watched it every Halloween.
I watched that too.
Holly and I apparently watched it every Halloween. I think Caitlin's seen it a few times, but Mason, we didn't realize, had never seen it.
Oh.
And
he
it
was probably
just,
doing other stuff.
It
and not
sort of
paying
blew our
attention.
mind.
How
And
is that
so
possible at your house?
I don't know. And so we
Like, I can
watched.
see some kids nowadays not having seen
Well, they airs on ABC every year.
Yeah.
kids.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. I'm never home when it's on during the week.
Yeah.
And I think I even assumed that he just watched it when it came on network, but we have it, so we usually watch it on or around Halloween. So I was just shocked that he had never seen it. So he watched it and he enjoyed it. He thought it was really good. And then after that, we went to Topeka West, and they had a trunk or treat. We did that. Went and picked up Caitlin from the haunted house, went to the mall, and she was in her vampire outfit. And I have to tell a little bit of story because I got some Doctor Who relation here, because she was in she still had her vampire makeup on. And I said, well, you've still got the dark clothes on. Let's go get your cape if you want to go with us to the mall, because we didn't think she'd want to go trick-or-treating at the mall. She's been kind of hemming and hawing about being a little too old for Halloween. She really wanted to just hand out candy this year. But we were going to the mall, and she thought, okay, I'll go to the mall with you guys. And we went. We walked around there for just a little bit. We weren't there for too long. We went home, and actually, it was when we got to the mall, and we were going to go inside, and I had mentioned about Keith's 11th Doctor cosplay earlier in the week, because she had thought about maybe doing something for her dance on Friday.
About that.
Well, that didn't happen on Friday. So Saturday afternoon, as we arrive at the mall, maybe 3 hours before trick-or-treating time, she goes, do you think Keith would lend me his 11th Doctor outfit? I really want to do that and hand out candy as the 11th Doctor. And I said, well, it's kind of late notice, but I'll find out. So I texted Keith, and Keith said, yeah, absolutely. He was gracious to loan us the outfit. So after we finished at the mall, we headed over to your place, and we got the outfit. We got home, and she got into it, and she was so excited about how she looked and how great it was, and she goes, I kind of think I want to go trick-or-treating. I'm like, sure, you got to be really careful with everything. Don't lose anything. I hope we didn't run the battery down on your Sonic.
No, I doubt it. I made sure to give her the 12th Doctor.
It's still working? Okay, all right.
Not the broken 11th Doctor.
Ah, okay.
So it's technically the wrong Doctor, but whatever.
Yeah. But so we got home, and she was all excited about it. So we went trick-or-treating and hit some houses, and she was super stoked. And so we took the kids over to Keith and Sarah so that they could see the kids dressed up. And Mason was Star-Lord this year. So if you hadn't seen my Facebook posts.
He looked great in Star
was
Wars.
also great.
Yeah. He almost had we almost went and got his haircut, and then he almost had the right hair for it too, because the hair kind of shows on the top, and so we were like, I'm kind of glad we didn't get his haircut too short. So, what do we got in news, Keith?
Well, if you didn't see it on Monday, Big Finish made a rather big announcement.
They did.
Their first new series Doctor Adventures.
That was that this week?
That was this week.
That news seems like it was so long ago.
The 10th Doctor Adventures. David Tennant is returning alongside Catherine Tate as his companion in 3 audio dramas. The series opens with Technophobia by Matt Fitton, followed by Time Reaver by Jenny T. Colgan, followed by Death and the Queen by James Goss. And they're all very excited to be coming back and working on and returning to the characters. There's a YouTube video of the two of them.
I saw that.
That's really cute if you go watch that. So that's exciting. They come out, they will be released May 2016. Exclusively on the Big Finish website.
I'm so very excited for that. I just any excuse for more 10 and Donna.
Yeah.
I mean, any excuse for more Annie, but you know.
You can get a bundle of all 3 titles available for £25 on CD or £22 to download. So, and it says Volume 1, limited edition. There's a limited edition set too, and it's labeled Volume 1, so it sounds like there's going to be more than one volume. Hopefully, maybe Volume 2, they'll be stepping backward and get some Martha stories in there, or even some on his own stories would be kind of cool. Since we know there was so much time in the specials run. Other news. There's been some statements and speculation on whether Moffat and Capaldi are sticking around for the next season. And Moffat recently told Variety Capaldi is going nowhere. Doesn't give a confirmed date or how long, but he's saying he's not going anywhere. And then talking about the show itself, he says, it is definitely going to last 5 more years. I've seen the business plan. It's not going anywhere, and I think we can go past that. It's television's own legend. It will just keep going. In a separate interview,
Excuse me.
to The Observer, Moffat was asked what he was particularly proud of the show's current run. He says, I'm proud that we get to the end of the series and it all looks pretty and is nice. He says, I'm just embarking on the new one, and it's terrifying. I have to make all that again. So it makes it sound, from that statement, that Moffat is back next year.
Yay!
And then the same article has an unnamed source saying Peter has made it clear he is happy playing the Doctor as long as the BBC and viewers want him. Peter is keen to complete 3 years of playing the Doctor to round off his storylines. That will take us to the end of next year. After that, who knows? Who knows? Ooh. So maybe it was just Tom Baker playing with him. That's the unnamed source.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now. So hard telling what's going to happen, but we thought we'd drop that little tantalizing bit of information out there.
Well, I hate to spoil anything for anybody, but the big news that actually came out of that is the announcement that Capaldi has officially signed a contract for another year. So he will be around, at least in some shape or form. So if you watched Who this week and were a little concerned that he may not make it out of the airplane with the rocket launcher coming at him,
unless you've been doing well this year, cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I like that. Keep that up.
Unless you got online and saw the TV trailer.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is that we didn't get a next time.
There wasn't a next time.
There wasn't a next time.
There was a TV trailer.
I did not get on and look at the TV trailer.
I haven't looked at it. I even, stopped it and went, oh, wait, there's a, had to start it back up so that I could get them. I went, well, that'd be kind of stupid if there was a next time trailer. And then the credits stopped, and I was like, there was no next time trailer. Oh, my God, maybe he really does die.
Our last bit of news is
big news.
Some big con news for us locally. Planet Comic-Con has announced their first round of guests. And in the guests, Eve Miles.
Woo!
Yay! And I have it on good word that the calendar issues that she had last year will not be happening this year.
I wonder if the move to May have helped with that.
Possibly. Apparently last year she was double booked by her agent and didn't know it. This year that is not the case.
Hopefully they'll get John Barrowman then again this year.
Although last year there wasn't that issue. There was the network with him. So.
Exactly.
But that's very exciting. And then Time Eddie, on the heels of announcing that it was coming back, announced their first guest. Good old Syl. Nabil Shabim, right? Is that
I think that's right.
So that's very exciting.
I told Mel, and so we're going to go and get some tongue action from Syl.
I saw them tease it the day before they announced it. I was racking my brain trying to figure out who it was, and I was not right.
What was the tease? I forgot.
The tease was a guest star who's both captivating on-screen and inspirational off-screen.
Ah. Because he's a poet, isn't he, too? Has he written poetry?
I'm not sure.
He is a poet as well.
Yeah. I thought he's written books and poetry.
He's written books and poetry, and then, of course, he's
definitely captivating on-screen.
He's got an organization to... I should really look this up before I speak, but...
he's an inspiration, if sometimes a controversial figure, who blazed the trail for all actors with disabilities.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he has a foundation or an institute to help facilitate that. And I wish I could remember specifically what it is and what it does, but...
He has a role in Clive Owen's Children of Men. Oh, wait, that's a movie. Dang it. I thought that was the...
Yeah, yes, he does have that as well.
His bio on Time Eddie does not say his organization that he volunteers and is an activist for.
I'll look it up and see if I can get it.
So some very exciting con announcements.
They just keep coming.
Yes. And that's it for news.
Hey.
Let's move on to feedback. First up in feedback, Ben. Ben writes, "Hey guys, I apologize if I missed the cutoff. Here's my 2 cents on the last 2 episodes of Doctor Who. I'm indifferent to these stories. There were bits I liked and bits I didn't like. Excuse me. Overall, it fell into the what's coming up next week category for me. I must admit I was really looking forward to them. I love Game of Thrones. I love Arya Stark. And therefore I'm a big fan of Maisie Williams. Her character in Doctor Who largely fell flat for me. I saw a lot of Arya in her Who character. The mannerisms, attitude, etc. I didn't see a new character. I don't fault Maisie for this, though. As I suspect, she was written exactly as she performed her. Moving on, the Thrall wannabe and the Sonic sunglasses barbecue lighter had me cringing. The premise of the stories had a lot of potential that I don't think was ever realized. That's it for now, guys. Short and sweet. I look forward to listening to the show and hearing what you thought. Take care. Ben."
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Does anybody know, have we gotten an official designation from anybody, or because I kind of feel like they're fumbling around a little bit with what these things are called. Are they Sonic Shades, Sonic Glasses, or Sonic Sunglasses? Because I think I've heard all 3 of them. Can we as fandom choose one and say this is what we want? If you're gonna have them, stick around.
No, because
which
when
I'm
you
fine with.
when you ask fans to choose something, then they make a petition
We
to get
need
rid of
Moffat
them.
to tell us.
Well, let's just decide. We carry a lot of weight here. What do you guys like?
I like Sonic sunglasses.
You like Sonic Sun? You like the formal? Because I like Sonic Shades, actually.
They are his shades.
I don't really care. I think you should keep them though, because I like them.
Glenn is
I
indifferent.
don't care what you call them. Just keep them. I'm fine with them.
We'll put a poll on the website and see what people think.
When they do things like light candles, I do kind of cringe a bit, but I'm quite fine with them when they are used to
Sonic
open shackles on
screwdriver is-
Osgood. That was just fun.
You know, the first time I don't remember exactly what it was. The first time he used the Doctor in general, not Capaldi, but the first time the Sonic was used and did something like that, it may have been lighting a candle. And I went, and I was crying foul. And then I thought about it. I was like, I guess from a science-based standpoint, if you're vibrating the molecules,
You could create combustion, you think?
yeah, I think maybe you could get away with that one. It at least falls
It's a
into the
bit
realm
of
of
a stretch.
plausibility for me versus,
I'll allow it.
the biometer readings and other things that it does.
Well, that's it for our feedback.
Really?
That's it.
Oh, that is it. Okay.
Well, I guess let's move on to our review.
I had a bunch of purple tags here, and I just realized none of them are... They're all...
We've got plenty of entries for our contest
Yeah.
for Beast of Fang Rock, and you still have another week to get that
Which we're
in.
giving out next week.
Yeah. So, hop back to last week's episode, listen to the questions, and submit them.
And we're not going to repeat them here. You're going to have to move back to last week's episode to
That's
find
right.
out. Because we're just that kind of guy.
The Zygon Invasion. The Zygons, a race of shape-shifting aliens, have been living in secret among us on Earth, unknown and unseen until now. When Osgood is kidnapped by a rogue of gang Zygons, the Doctor, Clara, and Unit must scatter across the world in a bid to set her free. But will they reach her in time? And can they stop an uprising before it's too late?
Dun, dun, dun! And then there's another half of it that kind of gets I want to see part 2.
Yeah, that's how I feel a lot about this. I think it's a strong start, but it really is going to depend on how it finishes for an overall story arc.
Yeah, this one in particular, of all
More
the
so.
two-parters, I think is going to be really difficult to review one part versus the other.
Yeah.
Glenn just sat there. He was not thrilled.
I'm kind of falling down the same side of that. I'm kind of reserving judgment because this one, again, yeah, like you said, feels like it needs 2 parts, and that this was really just all a bunch of setup. It was really tense.
Yeah. It was a great episode to watch on Halloween,
There wasn't a
despite the interruptions from trick-or-treaters.
there wasn't a moment where you weren't just like oh, my shoulders, I need some rest, because you're just so tensed up. And but I found it really hard to follow.
Yeah. I had to go back and...
I haven't rewatched it at all.
I need to rewatch it.
I haven't rewatched the whole thing, but I've gone back and kind of... we replayed a couple of parts to make sure that we caught what we thought we caught.
And Holly and Caitlin and I had to talk it out a little bit to kind of maybe solidify some points that had happened. But I think we narrowed it down, and I don't think I have any questions lingering now afterwards. But it still kind of left me with a, well, let's see what happens. So, I mean, there's not a lot I can say. I thought the performances were pretty good. It was exciting to see Osgood back.
And I really like their explanation of how they brought it back. And the fact that it doesn't matter if it's the Zygon version or not.
That was the coolest thing about it. Because we were all sitting here going, but which one is it? And so the doctor just asks, which one are you?
And the funny thing is, the doctor...
Even in the show itself.
The doctor says... to Clara, when he's talking about that it doesn't
matter. Yeah.
Well, but it was funny that then Osgood qualified that by telling the doctor the same thing. It was almost like, okay, he nailed it.
Well, and then so she has this great impassioned, it doesn't matter because of this. And he goes, okay, well, I won't tell anybody that you're human because this is what we know about Zygons. And then the rules have changed. It was like, but all bets are off.
I thought the same thing too, but then
the rules have only changed to us as the viewer.
Right.
Yet she said it in such a way that that's always been the case, but because this was a different situation for the Zygons,
right?
That once the interrogation's over, it doesn't matter; they can stay because now they know everything they need to know.
But part of me wonders if that's kind of a fib, based off of where the episode goes after that, finding the pods of all the people underneath London.
But the pods are only needed because of the faction. The faction. Because when the faction realizes that they have to... Because the ones that are here... Because didn't you get the impression it was like 20 million people? There was 20 million of them.
20 million Zygons.
They got the imprintation of who they're copying. But as long as the copy's alive, then everything's okay. Because... they're living peacefully and in harmony. But when the faction decides that it's time for a full-scale invasion again, they have to keep the copies safe so that they can maintain their identities, so they can continue to and so that they can shapeshift into different identities as well. Because I get the impression once they signed the peace accord between UNIT and the Zygons, they decided that you'll pick one person close. Because they said they choose one person closest to them. They become that identity, and then they just stick with that. Yeah. And so this faction decides that in order to infiltrate and to take over, they're going to have to continue to shapeshift. So they're taking humans and they're putting them in the pods, and it's the old MO. That's how they used to do it. And that's how they did it in the Terror of the Zygons, and that's how they originally were doing it in Day of the Doctor.
In this story.
And so they're back to their old necessity in order to do that. So
maybe I just didn't get enough of that, and I kind of expected to get more of that explanation in the next episode too. So
they have to maintain the copies by preserving their person they've copied and taking their memories and their identity. But Osgood didn't need to because obviously she had already. The interrogation was over. I love that. It's the best way to put it. Once the interrogation's over, you've got everything you need. You can maintain the copy even after the other person dies.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was genius, and I loved. There was a lot of subtle and some not so subtle nods to the previous. Obviously, Osgood's continuing her stepping through the Doctor's history with her wardrobe choices.
Yeah. So she's pretty much gone from 4 to 11, although skipping over 9 and 10.
Yes.
Although I didn't see if she's wearing trainers. Because that'd be an easy one to do.
But that was a lot of fun. The Harry Sullivan reference was awesome.
Yeah. It was very, very cool.
And another 70s, 80s.
Harry engineered the gas that... they can use, and the 70s, 80s. She didn't even say 70s or 80s. She just said 70s, 80s. I love how they just keep sidestepping that.
Yeah.
which is, it's an invasion. There was an attempted invasion in the 70s, 80s. They didn't succeed, so we don't care.
And the picture of the first Doctor in the safe house.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh,
I did not expect that.
It's on the side of the stairs.
And
the wall underneath the stairs. There's a
pan up. They start on it.
They start on it, pan up, and then they pan back down by it.
They wait a beat and then pan up.
Oh, I missed that. I'll have to go back and
Now
watch that.
they come back down by it. Now they come down by it faster, so you don't get as much of a look at it. But yeah, that was neat.
So that was all good. I liked the fact that the Doctor hangs out in the TARDIS and just plays his guitar.
Yeah,
that I don't know.
Amazing Grace, Hendrix style.
Yeah,
it's very much a Capaldi thing, but it just kind of feels like Troughton would have done this if he had moments away from Jamie and Zoe. He would have been fiddling with the recorder and doing his thing.
Recorder.
So I like the fact that McCoy, I'm sure, had spoon concertos. When
Why
he was
not?
there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can you imagine the acoustics in some of those rooms?
Do you think he goes down to like the cloister room? Wow!
No, I get this image of he has one room that has one of those big giant Doc Brown amplifiers,
but actually works.
Doc's works. He just overloaded it.
Yeah, because he went to 10.
Marty just overloaded it.
Slight possibility of overload.
I like to think that him playing Amazing Grace was a subtle nod to Grace, because there's no way right now, as long as Universal has so much of a hold on the movie, there's no way that they're going to pay to use anything. So if you can use just a riff of a song on that, I think that's a nice little.
I hadn't thought of that. That's cool. I assumed it was since it comes right on the heels of the Osgood Open.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought too.
But I think that was probably the intention, but I like where your head's at. Or we'll wreck on that.
I do feel like, stepping forward a little bit, it was a bit of a missed opportunity to torment fans for a week, waiting for the explanation of when Clara became a Zygon.
Yeah, I agree
had they
with
waited
you
till
there.
next week to give us that reveal, we would have been racking our brain wondering how far back she'd become a Zygon, etc. How in this season, further back than that.
Did we pull an Amy?
Yeah, missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you. As soon as they did that,
Troll fandom.
I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I hate that. We would have all week long. There would have been all this speculation.
Oh, I know.
Trying to pinpoint that.
So on the one hand, it's missed opportunity. On the other hand, it's kind of
I was grateful.
Yeah.
I totally thought it had been longer than it was, because that would explain why she hasn't been answering her phone.
Yeah,
He's
that's why
left her
123 missed calls.
Yeah.
So, I'm either here or in outer space. And it's like, it turns out she's right. There's a Zygon mothership somewhere. Oh, no, she's just in the elevator. Which I'm glad they revealed it kind of at that point, because one of the things
makes sense.
When that scene happened,
She got down. Right. She figured the elevator out really quick.
Well, and she knew about truth or consequences right away with the excuse of some Trivial Pursuit card.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a real town.
It is a real town.
It is a real town.
It?
Yeah,
Wow.
Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
It's named after the game show, Truth or Consequences.
And just for the record, good on you, Doctor Who Production Department, because normally you do a really great job with things, and having 2 different locations in addition to London in this was I'm sure, challenging.
Too many hills.
Truth or Consequences, New Mexico does not look like what was.
It's not near as hilly. It's flat as flat can be.
It looks more like Lake Silencio than it looks like.
Yeah.
But points for effort. That's an American talking. We don't get to point you out your flaws too often on stuff like that. But
well,
unless it's Kansas.
I think I talked a few weeks ago about how I always hated watching the old Western Dodge City because there were mountains in the background. Mm. There's no mountains in Kansas.
Mountains.
You can't see the Colorado mountains from Dodge City. I lived in the area. I know that for a fact. Sorry.
There's
already been on that soapbox.
Sorry, Supernatural fans. There's no mountains in Lawrence either.
Yeah.
And sorry, Jericho fans.
But I'm glad that they kind of, because when she did that and the parents came and grabbed the kid and took him away, and she's like, "Is he all right? Oh yeah, everything's fine." And then she kind of turned around and went on about her day. I looked at Mel. I was like, "Okay, wait a minute. As a teacher, when does the alarm bell go off that
I was saying
something is not right here?"
I was saying the kid was the Zygon. I was fully
I never
convinced that it
went
was
there.
the kid. Because
I never
kid
went there
snatching
with
on TV on
Oh,
Doctor Who. It's kind of...
That was tense and unnerving, too.
Yeah, that's why I figured it was the Zygon, because that seems like something the show would do.
Well, especially coming on the heels of
to sidestep that.
Okay.
the ones in the
Yeah,
on the playground. that they
yeah.
just
Well,
coming onto that.
when he was talking about the Zygon commanders, the two little girls, and
love
Caitlin
that
goes,
they were little girls.
I thought maybe they were going to end up being just
yeah.
little girls, and he had mistaken, but he knew they were. But Caitlin said, they can't be Zygons; they're too short. And I said, Caitlin, they're shapeshifters. They shapeshift into a horse, for crying out loud. And she goes, oh, I guess that's true.
Oh, the open. Love the open. I love the fact that I feel really justified in the fact that we didn't have to put
I was going to bring that up as well. It was okay that we didn't watch
They
Day of the
gave
Doctor
us a
because
really
we got
good
a
recap.
lot of good setup.
And it was very well done. It was a nice recall to that. So that was there. I think the feelings of unease just deal with,
The Doctor's attitude. I think here was my problems with it was when the woman was targeting which kudos to having strong female characters in this, having Unit's commander be a woman again, which they've done in the past, but having and then having the gal with the joystick targeting the house, having a female there as well. The problem that I had with that is I expected the Doctor to tell her to stand down because he's in charge. He even outranks
President of the world.
He outranks the colonel or commander or whoever the unit guy
Yeah.
was. But he sat and watched to see what she would do, and never said stand down. Never said don't do it. Never didn't fight with the commander.
And didn't
over
pull the
it.
Sonic out to
And still
shut it
allowed
down.
them eventually to bomb the town.
And I thought, okay, all right, I'm not. I'll let that one pass. But then when they're going into the town. And the Doctor...
We've got 30 minutes to do this.
Well, the Doctor makes a comment, try not to kill too many of them. We need to...
Try to leave at least one alive. I need
that
somebody
was...
to
I
negotiate
thought
with.
that seemed really off.
Yeah, I would agree.
That whole sequence, I think, was where it soured for me a little bit. And partially because of the attitude. Because I don't mind the fact that the Doctor's going to go in and negotiate and the unit wants to go in and bomb it. That's very classic.
Well, yeah.
Third Doctor, okay, Silurian style.
But then he shuts them down.
But that's just it, is he has to go one step further to say, you need to let me do this. Now, with the presidential thing, I can almost fudge that from the standpoint that he asked about the plane. But I don't believe they ever actually passed the control.
No.
over to
I
him.
think they did, and I think that's why he used
Once
plane.
they unveiled
he
the
at least wanted to have the appearance of that authority, and I think that's why. He even walks in and says, "I'm president of the world."
Yeah, and when talking to the one Zygon they capture, you're president of the world. We want the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if he didn't in heart and spirit believe that he was, because I still don't think he believes.
No,
that
he
is,
takes it all kind
but
of
I
as a
think he was
joke.
utilizing that in order to have some sort of authority, and so then not using that authority, suddenly it was like, oh, that was kind of weird. It was almost like a playoff, because then he plays it off when she says, I thought you didn't, Kate says something to the effect of...
Well, he was so abrasive.
Clara says it,
He was so abrasive towards Kate about the violence in this episode, and then this woman, this commander, he's not at all.
And he says, I sort of want to, I sort of sometimes like to do some pouncing around, which I think is the comment from just, having some fun. And so I thought, okay, that was a weird throwaway line as to why he's getting on the plane. But then I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something behind this. Maybe he wants that authority so that he can take control here. Because he's obviously trying to take control of the situation with the Zygon commanders, because they're having that little battle. The girls are saying, no, we've got this, let us take care of this. And he's trying to convince them that, hey, this is all going south. And so I
understand the use of bringing back the president of the Earth aspect of it and the plane plot-wise, but also at the same time, it's like, why not just hop in the TARDIS and go over there really quick?
I thought the same thing too. the use of the plane seemed forced or odd.
Had there been some moments earlier this season where he doesn't have as good a control of the TARDIS as he used to,
Right.
I would be able
Or
to
it was
buy
so
it a
far
bit.
away that it was quicker to get on a plane than it would be to go to
Yeah,
the TARDIS.
and
but
we
the
don't
TARDIS
know-
obviously was nearby.
Yeah, we don't know
There's-
how close
there's
the
nowhere.
safe house.
I mean, admittedly, we don't know where Turkmenistan or wherever the alternate country was at that he was flying to. There's nowhere you can tell me that he landed the TARDIS in or near or around or outside of London, that it wouldn't have been faster just to drive there, hop in the TARDIS, and go to
Oh, we
wherever
know it
this
was in the
country
park
then-
at that one time.
Yeah.
That's where the first place we see it.
And the safe house can't be that far away.
No.
Yeah, so there's nothing you can do to convince me the plane was faster
Yeah, I
in any
agree.
way, shape, or form.
I agree.
So I thought that was weird. Now, it does set up the great cliffhanger, but
Yeah.
again, if that's the only reason for having it... the other thing was the cop in Truth or Consequences, which kind of leads me...
I get the
in-
impression she was the sheriff.
or the sheriff.
She was
Yeah,
the
she
sheriff,
was
which,
the sheriff.
again, another female character.
Yeah.
I like that.
Kate gets there and she's did you bring backup? Did you do this? Did you do this? And she kind of shows her around, and here's where I've put all the lumps of DNA that used to be people that these things killed. And during this whole thing, and the cops obviously freaked out and very kind of classic horror elements of something has happened in the town, and this is the one survivor that's kind of okay, yeah, I'm with you there. But at no point in time does Kate ask what I feel is the obvious question of, why didn't you radio for help? Why didn't you? I mean, this is America. Everybody's got a gun somewhere, and even Truth or Consequences is not that far removed. It's in the middle of nowhere.
It's kind of remote, but
But you've got cell signal out there, so why didn't you radio for help, or who have you alerted? Did you call the army? And none of those questions ever came up. It was just, well, let's get to the bottom of this investigation and do this. So then the woman says the Zygons never did, and it was like, aha. Kate never said the word Zygon. Mm-hmm. So that was my first cueing. Right. Now, I kind of suspected that maybe we were getting there, but that was the first aha moment.
Well, my first aha moment was why you're talking about the British. The British came here. The British. Kate's British. Shouldn't she have been suspicious of Kate immediately?
Yeah.
And she didn't seem that suspicious. Yeah. She did a little bit, but she didn't seem that suspicious.
Truth or Consequences is separated, isolate, whatever. Not that. So why is she still there after all of this has gone down? Why didn't she get out of town too? I never felt like they gave a good reason for that.
It's not like you're on an island.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why everyone's dead. Okay, time to go.
All right, British listeners, the United States is a large country.
It's not that large.
And in the Southwest and even in the upper Northwest, there is a lot of area, and there are a lot of towns that are very far from anywhere else, but nowhere is far enough that you couldn't get somewhere else in order to get away from something that was going on and find help. I'll just spell that right now.
Now, I mean, if you're, we're up on the mountain and the bridge was washed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now you've given me
a
but yeah, just, have you ever been to New Mexico? It's flat, it's desert, it goes on for miles and miles and miles.
They're right by a canyon, apparently.
But
Rock Canyon.
You
and it's right on a highway.
You jump in the car and drive.
Exactly. Well, Kate got there with no problem.
It's not that far from San Antonio. Really.
So,
unless you're surrounded by the Tremors things, you can leave.
But I think they're counting on the British audience, thinking, well, it's so isolated. That,
in a town that no one has ever.
But for us Americans,
so maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
But for us Americans, it was that was kind of foolhardy. But
so because of those things,
it's an hour drive
coming up from the next week.
San Antonio, New Mexico.
Okay.
Not how big is San Antonio, New Mexico?
I don't know. But Truth or Consequences is big enough to have its own airport.
It's a municipal, though. It's not an actual. Know. It's not like a hub or anything.
Yeah, nothing that
as flat as most.
A lot of those places out there have their own municipal airports because it's you don't even have to build a runway. You just got a big wide open field.
Yeah. Where's the plane? I parked it somewhere south of town. It's all runway.
Which would probably be 3 hours to Albuquerque, if that.
Okay, so it's a 3-hour car ride. I mean, come on. Because of all that, going into next week, I'm already supposing that Kate is not actually dead, and that she was able to piece something together and get one up on the Truth or Consequences is clear. But we'll wait and see on that. But I think that there's just I kind of feel like there's just a couple of threads that are dangling right now that if I pluck at them too much, what I really liked about the story is going to unravel. So I'm kind of afraid to get too...
And because the thread isn't connected to the end yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sweater that I can't see the pattern because there's not enough of it.
Because it's only half done.
It may be a question mark. It may not be. I don't know.
It's like a... what's the guy's name? Denny Dent, the artist that does the quick splash paintings in like 5 minutes. And he starts on these things, and he starts doing them, and you're going, it's just a mess of paint. You just see, what is this? What could this possibly be? How can this become this really cool painting that I know he is capable of doing? And as you watch it, halfway through it, you're still looking at it going, I don't know who this is going to be. It's going to be something amazing, I'm sure, but I can't see it. That's what this episode's
and
like.
Then all of a
because
sudden,
by the time he gets 2/3 into that painting, you start to see who it is. Yeah. I watched him do John Lennon on stage and just was blown away, amazed, because it didn't look anything like John Lennon until the last 2/3 of it, and then suddenly Lennon was just there. It was just amazing. So I'm hoping these episodes will be the same way.
Hopefully. But yeah, I don't know.
The other thing I was really impressed by was Jenna Coleman's performance. Especially once we learned that she's a Zygon.
Yeah.
She sold that so much. Wow! She would make a great villain in something.
Yeah, see, I disagree. I didn't think
you didn't think so?
I didn't think she was... I mean, she did fine. She did a fine job. I don't want to undersell her, but... I didn't quite buy it. It almost felt like she was... See, I thought she was being a little forceful with it. But, again, I'm also reserving judgment for her performance. Wasn't going to bring it up until you said that. But it didn't quite feel
She completely
it. Wasn't
sold me
quite
that
there.
she was this Bonnie person.
Yeah.
That's me. Uh-oh.
Well, when she did that and I saw Jen in there, immediately I went, oh, she's a Zygon.
Yeah. But then the slow transformation to the evil version of herself. For the unit group.
Oh, they certainly worked it in well, but it just it just wasn't quite there for me. Almost, but not quite.
Once again, I feel a little cheated that the unit group is... I don't mind it when unit is ineffective. I mind it when unit is incompetent. And this one seemed to be very full of a lot of incompetent unit. I mean, we get a dressing down for Kate. The doctor basically says, go to New Mexico. We get the other scientific advisor, who obviously is not Osgood and isn't nearly as good as Osgood, but she kind of fumbled her way through the first episodes and then kind of is still doing that. Well, it's an elevator. It goes down. Oh, let's freak. Let's run away. Let's get out of here. It's like, surely you've got a gun in your handbag. I mean, come on.
How are you a part of unit if you're wanting to run away?
You know, are you purely scientific based and you're civilian helping out?
Why are you Why are you in the field in that aspect?
Why aren't you getting coffee? You've got to have something you bring to the table before they would put you in this situation. So I was kind of like,
even being the driver, stay in the car then.
So the fact that she is ostensibly dead now, it's kind of like, well, all right, there goes another one. And then the guys that they send into the, okay, don't fall for what you know what they're capable of. Don't fall for it. Okay. Oh, I'm going to fall for it. Really? I mean, tense scene and very dramatic and if I was stuck in that scene, admittedly, I probably wouldn't be able to pull the trigger either. No, but there are logical things that you do, asking of the questions and I don't remember.
He didn't even give her a chance to answer either of them.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, she did answer the second one, sort of, but in a roundabout way of, how can I remember? How am I supposed to remember that? Well, my mom would remember that. My mom remembers my imaginary friend when I was 3 years old. So
my mom doesn't remember that stuff, but there are other things that she would remember.
Well, your birth date, she should know.
She should know.
She rattled off the birth date right away.
So, when those kinds of things are very obviously going wrong, despite the hiding of the tension and how well everything else is, you've suddenly given me a character that's like, I don't believe in this person now. Because he's not acting in I mean, again, it's an emotional bit. but there's still an element of rational thought that has to happen there. And I don't know. So it just kind of seemed like we've got to get rid of these extra people, which you only brought with you because you had the airplane.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to that again. You know? Yeah. And then we get downstairs in the basement, and initially I thought it was odd that the doctor was just stomping all over the floor trying to find Osgood.
Oh, I figured he was looking for a trapdoor.
Well, and then then he turned the corner, and I almost, because the way he moved, it was almost
like he was looking downstairs. Yeah, I thought the same thing. My first thought was you were stomping around and there were stairs right around the corner, but luckily their trapdoor was around the corner.
Oh, trapdoor. Okay, fine.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I thought, what?
Why didn't you use the stairs? Stairs! Was there something else that I wanted to... Oh, the story that the sheriff tells Kate about... I don't know if you guys got this. This is the part I had to go back and watch again. That there was... the townsfolk once saw a Zygon in its natural form.
They called it a lizard.
A little girl.
Reptile.
Yeah, reptile.
Well, initially they called it a reptile, but then later at the end, she's doing the reveal. She says it was... they caught it in its true form. It was a little girl who hadn't been taught to keep the body print alive and all this. It kind of been left to fend for herself, and they ridiculed her. And it sounds very much like, well, humanity sucks again, and we're going after this thing. And then the kind of the impression that I got is that maybe the sheriff is the initial leader of
that would make sense.
The whole movement for the Zygon faction, and that this little girl is simply acting out. And the response of humanity sucking, and kind of going, well, fine, we're just going to take over. That's kind of what I get out of that story, but I don't know if
I have to go back and watch that scene again.
Okay, I didn't know if you guys caught that.
I buy that. Makes sense to me.
I mean, it just felt like that was what they were giving us that information to set that up. So I don't know if that I'm not trying to speculate and say this is where I think they're going. That
sounds like speculation.
I'm sorry, Gilbert. I won't climb on the water tower no more. I just didn't know if anybody else got that impression.
No, I didn't.
But now that you mention it,
I'll look for it.
I did kind of, after hearing that story, I did think that this was probably the little girl.
Yeah. But that also then brings to mind, it's like, well, what is the growth period of a Zygon? Is she still a little girl? Is she a petulant child?
It depends. Well, it depends on if the little girl was a human little girl and a fully grown Zygon, or if it was a young Zygon.
It's hard.
I follow what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
It's hard to know though with a shapeshifter.
Yeah, because the commanders weren't actual kids.
Yeah,
right.
And they've obviously, with everybody, everybody in London underground, they've obviously been at this for a while, building on extensions to secret elevators. Which seems like a lot of work. You'd think there would have just been a teleporter.
Yeah.
When she pushed the thing, I was expecting it to go...
Right.
And no, it's actually the elevator kind of lowers past the basement into the cellar. Is there a cellar? I don't know. Zzz. Oh, wow, there's a cellar.
I'm waiting for a robot Loch Ness monster to show up.
That would be awesome.
I'm really looking forward to watching Terror of the Zygon, especially after the reference we did get.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so here's one. So when the doctor gets to the Zygon control unit, and he's talking about you have to titillate the fronds and get it to do its thing. Do you need a moment alone? And then it all powers up, and he says, still got it. Is this just a general, I'm cool doctorism, or is this a specific reference to David Tennant making out with
I think
the
it was a specific reference
it was right on the heels of I Snogged One.
It's a specific reference to David Tennant kissing.
Big red rubbery thing full
yes.
suckers?
Yep. Yeah. That's the one.
He was so gleeful about that, too.
Yeah.
He was.
Biggest smile on his face.
But I think this doctor likes to shock people too, so
Yeah,
I think
the shock factor.
it's the shock factor that he's enjoying. That
I think that he was going. That's what he was going for with the question mark underpants, and it just didn't work out.
Yes, no, I agree.
Although I didn't know this, apparently the Eighth Doctor once said that he wore question mark boxers.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did he say? Does it say where he said that?
Prose, Seen Eye, and then comic
so it was in a book.
Glorious Dead.
Huh.
So twice.
All right.
So I don't know if it's seen or mentioned. It doesn't say. It just says his eighth incarnation wore them.
So for all you cosplayers looking for a new outfit.
A new accuracy.
Question mark boxers.
Anything else that you guys want to?
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in this.
I can't say. I don't. I really want. I'm anticipating the next episode so that I can maybe feel a little bit better about this episode.
It more so feels like.
Again, there was more. There were a lot of moments that were quite yay, but it just. I just felt like the tension in it was just so thick, and I really had to let it kind of sink in a bit. But this one's just too much setup and not enough resolution. So
it's almost too much tension.
I don't know. I like the level of tension in it.
Well, I think it's got an appropriate level of
for what it is. Yeah.
For the one character when they say it's not paranoia if it's actually happening. So it's kind of cool that we've got.
Yeah, that was actually good. That was a good line. It's not paranoia when it's actually happening.
If this had been a Philip Hinchcliffe story, we're totally doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah,
that's where this level of tension and ooh ah is heading for. But because it's not a Philip Hinchcliffe story, the tension's up there. But I'm not getting the same kind of enjoyment factor out of that. It's
maybe because the plot isn't. They're building too much tension instead of moving the plot forward enough.
I don't know. Maybe, like I said, it's.
It'd be interesting after next week to sit down and watch them back to back to see what they're like.
It'll definitely hinge. Well, the jury's out at the moment on this one because it's such a. Everything about this is going to be locked into even more so than the one last time when I was kind of complaining about the potential of the episode versus what we're actually going to get. I think everything's going to be locked up into next week's how they resolve this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But
I'm excited to see it.
What do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, coming up on the schedule this Friday for Friday Night Who, we are watching Terror of the Zygons. So you'll get a chance to go back and revisit the 70s or 80s and Dr. Harry Sullivan and a robot Loch Ness Monster. Because, yes.
Oh, if a robot Loch Ness Monster shows up next week, you will be so justified putting the Zygons on the Friday Night Who schedule.
I think we're plenty justified without it.
No, you'll be that much more justified.
We'll be starting off the show next week with, "We told you so!" And then, of course, our review next week is the Zygon Inversion, which is an interesting title. So there's that.
Yay.
Well, of course, just a reminder, you can visit us on any of the forms of social media. We are on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Google+, we're on Tumblr. We also have the book club on Goodreads. If you're not on Goodreads, or if you're on Goodreads, look us up.
It's a new month, so we got a new book.
We do.
It is going to be Beast of Fang Rock.
Beast of Fang Rock.
We are very much looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say about it on there.
Soon we will be doing a spoiler review of The Schizoid Earth, which will be on the schedule hopefully coming up this month sometime. Everybody's got a chance to read it. That was the book of October, so we need to get that on the schedule so that we can discuss that fuller, since more people will have had a chance to read it. And of course, we're excited for the next book, which is called
Mutually Assured
Domination. Yes. Please send us feedback. We were kind of lackful with feedback. I'm not used to these shows with very little feedback.
Had probably the same reaction we did, and
they want to wait until they see both parts. Yeah, that's the
problem of doing two-parters this week, because you notice the weeks we have the resolution of the two-parters, we tend to get more feedback than the first half.
That's true.
I completely forgot I had a Doctor Who Legacy tip of the week.
Oh, well, we skipped over.
Skipped
because
right over
nobody
that.
had submitted.
You better save that for next week.
Should I save it for next week?
We'll
I'll save it for next week.
Of course, please visit our website, www.travelingthevortex.com. You can find links to things to buy and purchase to support the show, and more importantly, we have a link on there to Patreon, and you can become a Patreon survivor, Patreon subscriber. Well, be a Patreon survivor
That's
too.
the new T-shirt. I survived the Patreon account.
I survived the Patreon pledge drive. Please, in all seriousness, if you can, please help support the show by donating to Patreon, to our Patreon account, and everything that you donate to us does go right back into this program so that we can keep it on the interwebs. And is there anything else we need to touch on this week before we close this show?
Thanks for coming back week after week and listening to us and supporting us.
Yes, thank you.
If that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Go Royals!
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.